Hey everyone, Jeiku here, and I know what you're probably thinking. You're thinking, how in the living hell do you have footage from the first episode of FLCL Alternative when it's not even supposed to premiere till September 7th? And how did you get the opportunity to make this video before anyone else did? And to answer that question, I'll respond by saying, it's okay. It's okay. I got the supply. I got the stuff, man. Don't ask where it comes from. Just know that I got you. You don't need to worry how I came across this. But in all seriousness, I'm very much excited to give you my review and reaction to the first episode. If you've been following me, then you know that FLCL is one of my all-time favorite animes. Hearing that Fooly Cooly was getting a continuation was one of the most exciting anime-related news that I've heard since probably forever. And just to reiterate from my previous upload, I do want to again state that FLCL Progressive is a direct continuation of the original series created by IG Productions, and FLCL Alternative is a sequel said to be the third season made from a different production company called Nut, and I'm not gonna do it. I know you want me to do it. I'm not gonna do it. It's too predictable. Fine. Nut. Some other information I discovered, the Pillows are returning with brand new original music for Fooly Cooly, just like they did with the original series. And to this day, I feel like FLCL has one of my favorite anime soundtracks. For me, FLCL was an emotional, chaotic, and very surreal experience, and the musical composition only enriched that experience further. And I think that's enough background information. I do want to do something a little bit different than just a basic review. What I'm going to mainly do here is draw comparisons and contrasts, as well as similarities to the original series and this new alternative regarding the story and the characters. But without further delay, let's just get this thing going. Immediately as I started the alternative episode, I recognized the introduction is similar to that of the original series, with the main character giving a general synopsis of their feelings in regards to their surroundings. I also recognized a duality between the two main characters in their opening statements. When Naota, the main character in the original series, begins his narration, he sounds spiritless and disinterested, to the point of fatigue, which expresses that he has some kind of inner confliction with his life. To quote Naoto's narration, he states, "Nothing amazing happens here. Everything is ordinary. The huge factory that can be seen from our town, the medical mechanica plant, all the adults got excited when it came here, like it was a really big thing. The white steam that bellows out every day at the same time. It looked to me like smoke that signified some kind of omen. Smoke that spreads out and covers everything." There is actually more going on in this narration than just Naota's feeling, but that's for another upload altogether. I just wanted to focus here on the fact that he expresses his dissatisfaction with his life. He immediately starts his statement with a negative connotation of boredom, and when he ends his commentary, he mentions that he feels that the steam that enraptures his surroundings feels like an omen. And hearing that tonality in his statement, it sounds to me that he feels that it's ultimately a bad one, and that he does feel discontented. I hold on to that thought, that Naota basically ends the statement with being discontented and dissatisfied. Now I'm going to read you the opening narration to Kana, the girl who is the main character of the alternative series. To quote Kana's narration, she states, "Every day is drifting in an orange light. It's too bright for eyes swollen from crying. But this familiar view is a novelty. So even if tomorrow is just a gathering of yesterdays, though tangled and cracked, wearing my favorite nail art and worn-out loafers, I will, in this city." Kana, in her narration, also describes her surroundings to be dissatisfying. She says that every day drifts away. Her surroundings are unmoving, disinteresting, even agonizing to the point of tears, and this reflection is similar to that of Naota's statement, saying, "Nothing happens here." Though seemingly unfinished in a tone that sounds like that she may be drifting away in thought, she ultimately sounds accepting. To summarize her statement, she's saying that even if every day is exactly the same, I'll still enjoy the small mundane things in life that this life has to offer to me in this city. The difference here is that Naota states and describes that he's discontented, whereas Kana recognizes her dissatisfying life, but also swallows the harsh truth of her reality and accepts it. I also recognize some distinctive traits in these two main characters that differ drastically from each other. Naota is obsessed with maturity and acting like an adult. He's a 12-year-old that pushes himself to achieve adulthood at the fault that he sacrifices the childhood portion of his life. He even feigns interest in dating with a girl that's basically all over him. However, Kana, on the other hand, makes it pretty evident that she has a crush on one of her fellow classmates. I felt that it was necessary to make this note because of their contrasting characteristics of being accepting, and I'm also interested to see how this portion of the storyline plays out, since the original FLCL had a lot to do with growing up and, well, it's It's sexual innuendos. Oh my. At this point, you're probably wondering if any of the old characters are introduced from the original series. Interestingly enough, the only character that reoccurs so far is Haruko. She does, however, have pretty similar interactions with Kana as she did with Naota. Here, you can see Haruko scoping out Kana just as she did with Naota in the original series. There are some reoccurring scenes that are pretty evident, and I don't feel that they are worthy of mention in this video because they don't really contribute much for analysis, and they wouldn't really serve any purpose other than being a spoiler. There is one scene I would say that's worthy of talking about, which revolves around one of the most iconic phrases from FLCL. There is a scene in the original series where Mamimi has a lit cigarette in her mouth, and on the cigarette reads, "Never knows best." I know that there were a lot of speculation as to what the phrase really meant. Funny enough, Kazuya Shiramaki, the director of FLCL, said he saw the phrase once that was written in English with a cigarette in a postcard once, and he just thought it looked cool. He said, quote, "I'm not sure if it has any real meaning or not, but he also put his own meaning behind the phrase, stating, there's a best way, and not everyone can follow it, because not everyone knows the best way." I felt that this has significant meaning to Mamimi as a character, since she felt kind of aimless in her life. Well, that same phrase is written on a Jenga piece that kind of reads off of, and from the look of it, she seems pretty dumbfounded to find this written randomly on a Jenga block. And if you look at the scene with her friends in it, it seems pretty apparent that none of them are aware of this message, leaving me to believe that none of her friends wrote it there, which would only make sense considering there's no way that one of them would be familiar with that phrase. My observation as to what happened here is that Haruko wrote the phrase herself, and perhaps she sees similarities of aimlessness between Mamimi and Kana herself. Again, this is all speculation, but I just love piecing together what I could from the original series and this new one. That's pretty much all I could really talk about in terms of breakdowns with the first episode. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about my reaction to the first episode. What I have to say is that I'm feeling pretty underwhelmed with the first episode. When it came to the original series, there were so many scenes that were just so interesting and innovative. IG Productions put FLCL to experimental use for animating scenes. It felt so fast-paced, and at times there were scenes that would be slow, quiet, and would just kind of drag to a halt, and just really took time to look beautiful, which really gave the show contrast to scene transitions. You would go from one scene that felt pretty quiet, mundane, but easy on the eyes, and then boom, here's a fast-paced scene with experimental storytelling in the style of animated manga. And that was one of the reasons why I felt enraptured in FLCL storytelling. In this new series, there are some interesting scenes, but nothing really groundbreaking, and the pacing is a bit of a slow start. I understand this is only the first episode, but remember, this is only going to be a 6-episode series, and I just felt that the original series accomplished so much in one episode. You may have not known exactly what was happening, but it just threw so much content together in just one episode, and you can really put things together as you understand the series later on. I just hope that the rest of the season lives up to everyone else's expectations. In this new series, there are some interesting scenes, but nothing really groundbreaking. I'm assuming after the first episode sets the tone that there are going to be more interesting scenes in the future to really contrast the difference in Kana's life before and after meeting Haruko. Alright, and I think that about wraps up what I wanted to discuss in this episode. In either case, I did find it to be an enjoyable experience, and I'm extremely excited for more FLCL episodes. I really want to see where the story goes and how it relates to the original series, since there were so many questions left unanswered. The official release date for this season of FLCL is September 7th, and I'm really just excited to see how it plays out, since FLCL is one of my all-time favorite anime series. If you enjoyed this video and thought my breakdown of the series so far was at all interesting, then please leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I plan on having releases more frequently, as you can tell, so please hit the bell button so that way you can be part of the notification squad. I'm really stoked that I was the first person to make a review about the FLCL season, considering how much of a fan I am of the original series. What are your thoughts about the FLCL seasons? Do you think they'll live up to our expectations? Do you think that we'll get to see characters from the original series? Please leave a comment below. I love talking to you guys about this type of stuff, and I'm completely hyped about all the anime titles are coming out for 2018, and FLCL for me is the most anticipated anime title for the year. And I had a blast making this. I hope you had fun too, and I hope to see you all again next time. Jeiku out.